So, welcome everybody to UFO ET Experiencers. And my name is Catherine, and I'm very excited for tonight because we have a wonderful speaker, and his name is Robert Fullington. Robert has been featured in a book called Meet the Hybrids by Barbara Lamb. So I just thought it was really synchronistic that I met Robert online uh, like right after Barbara Lamb came and spoke at our last meeting. And it just turned out to be really, really synchronistic that he was featured in her book. And we were talking about hybrids and star seeds and the difference between hybrid star seeds and walk-ins on our last group meeting. So I just thought it would be wonderful to have Robert come in, and Robert agreed, and I'm so thankful. So Robert, welcome. Welcome to our UFO ET Experiencers meeting, and we'd love to hear more about you and your story.
Oh, awesome. Yeah. It's been a wild ride, to say the least.
Yeah. So if you just want to start out and just usually I like to hear about like a little bit about your background, if there were things in your childhood or anything like that that happened to kind of help you to understand your adult experiences better.
Right. Right. Well, okay, so childhood was kind of basic except for a few things. I didn't realize that I was having any ET contact until 2009, so when I was 29. Uh I'm 44 now, and it was about, I don't know, 3 years old. I had some weird, anomalous things happening when I was really, really little. I kept having these weird dreams of feet, like white feet, or and it sounds completely weird, but I'd always hear this sound like this when I was going to sleep, and then I'd have these weird dreams of like feet and weird things chasing me around, making weird noises in my dreams, and then I'd have things like uh, every once in a while, like a teddy bear float across the room, or um, something drag across the floor. And I always thought it was ghost this whole time. Now, my mom, we were watching remember all the old unsolved mysteries, and a special came on and said, "Oh, the mystery of the twinless twins." And I thought, "Oh, well, I like to see that." And Mom said, "Nope, nope, you're not watching that. You're not watching that." So, well, why not? She says, "Well, you're a twinless twin." So turns out that I'm an identical twin, but the twin passed away, which is kind of interesting because yeah, in utero. So which is kind of interesting because I found out that a lot of other experiencers kind of going through this same thing had a twin element to this. So for this whole time growing up, I always thought any kind of weird paranormal thing happening to me was, uh, the ghost of my twin, right? So I always kind of chalked it up to ghost. Um, I would wake up, with like these weird, like, say for about three, so three started around 3, 5 years old, came around, and then it was like having dreams of being burned and then waking up with like burn marks on my shoulder where I had the dream of being burned by something touching me. And then 14, that's when weird marks would start appearing, about 14 years old, and it'd be like here on the uh, pressure point of the forearm, inner forearm right here, where it's like a perfect circle bruise. It was, and
Oh, I'm sorry, Robert.
internally the bruise.
Robert, yeah,
Yeah.
you froze up a little bit. So, do you have
Oh,
anything running on your computer, like any of your apps or anything? Are they still on? Because sometimes if you have too many things on, there won't be enough bandwidth.
there. Yeah,
So
they'll turn off because I have terrible internet connection. Um,
if you just quit out of any other programs that you're running, it should be okay. So this way we can still see you.
okay, how's that?
Yeah, that's better. All right, you were talking about the little circular marks on your arm.
Okay,
14.
the yeah the circle bruises. They're like perfect circle. Internally, they're like a perfect cylinder shape that goes, I mean, through the all the way into the muscle, right? And I was into martial arts and stuff and motorcycle riding, so I would think, oh, it's just me being active, right? So, uh, you know, fast forward all the way up until 2009. Uh, little things here and there, but really it started 2009. So 2009 on 4th of July 2009, we were in my parents' house, and they have a pretty spectacular illegal fireworks show in the neighborhood here. It's California, so fireworks are illegal, but in the neighborhood that we were in, I mean, they'd shoot them off like crazy. So we're watching the fireworks show, and I really didn't wasn't into like government conspiracies or UFOs or anything like that. I was mostly just like ghosts. But I look up and I see this little satellite drifting across the sky, and I remember thinking, okay, I want to project a thought to this thing. So I project a thought to it, and I say, hey, okay, if you're something, uh, move to the left or move to the right. And I told everybody, hey, check it out, look, a satellite, and it just kind of drifted off. So the fireworks show ended. Later on that night, it was about 1, 2 in the morning. The fireworks are done, and I used to smoke cigarettes at the time, and my wife and I are outside smoking uh, smoking a cigarette, and I see that satellite off in the distance again. Just another satellite, but this time, it instantly came from space to the neighbor's yard and just floating at about like treetop level at the neighbor's yard. And it was this glowing orange disc or football shape, the best I can tell. So like a disc, but at the side angle, football shaped. And right when you look at it, all of a sudden it turns off, but you can still see it there, like a tiny little point of light uh, on this object hovering right above the neighbor's yard. And we were just like, "Oh my God, what was that? Did you see that?" And we start walking, and you can see the object pacing us. And when we look away, on the corner of your eye, you'd see it turn on, and then when you look at it, it turned back off again. And what was that? What was that? So it did this about 3 times, and then it lights up, and then shoots off into space, in an instant. And then it's that little satellite again. It just slowly drifts off. Well, that was our first encounter. It totally blew my mind wide open. Like, oh my God, there's something going on. So I started doing extensive research, on the UFO phenomenon, like trying to figure out, okay, what was it that I saw? Doing the old YouTube videos and stuff. So you get around to the big event was in December, but around, I don't know, let me think, October, November, I was having some pretty odd things happening where I'd go to bed and I'd wake up and I'd be in my pajamas still, but I'd be standing like inside of this dome. Uh, it's like the inside of a ship, right? But I'd be standing on this like platform, and all these little grays, you know, 10, 15 of them all standing around me, just kind of like staring up at me and looking at me. They're about like, I don't know, 4 4 feet tall, real small, skinny, not the big head, stereotypical grays, but a normal shape, proportionate sized head, and like these like vertical uh, lines in there, not like painted lines, but you know, wrinkles on their face and big wrinkly necks and real spindly bodies, wearing some kind of black jumpsuit with uh, with a little insignia on the breast there. And I remember they're just staring at me, and it's almost like I felt like they were honoring me because I was about to go through something kind of intense. It was kind of like the feeling. And I'd wake up and I was like, whoa, that was weird. That was really weird. Um, it was about this time. So I was 210 pounds uh, when it started, and I started getting really sick. My I just couldn't eat anything. I couldn't keep anything down. Really bad stomach problems. I was losing 5 pounds, about 5 pounds a day, and just really bad uh, stomach issues. And started going to the doctor, and the doctors were like, "Well, we don't really know what's going on with you." Oh, that was later. So I mean, it got to the point where I was going to need a feeding tube, but that was a little later on down the road. So then we have the December event came up. Um, in December 20th, 2009 was the event. So 3 days before the event, I was I was in bed sleeping, and I'd wake up and I'd walk down the hallway, and the house at the time was being remodeled, so everything was really taken apart. But in the backyard, there's these two French doors, and at the French doors, going looking out to the backyard, there's like concrete little porch area, and then goes out into the yard. Well, there's this being. Now this was a tall, this is what was people would call a tall white Zeta. At the time I had no idea what I was looking at, but it was 6 feet tall, uh, white paper white skin with the light bulb shaped head, the big eyes, and three fingers. So it's missing like the pinky, and it's got these three fingers with really long fingers, probably about like this, with the fingernail cuticle coming further up the finger um, than a normal person. And the being, said to me, "Hey," he's all, let me in." And I mean, I freaked out, like, nope, nope, not gonna let you in, man. And the dog was sitting right next to me. It was a little oh, what was Lyra?
Cattle dog.
Cattle dog. Yeah. So this the cattle dog we had was sitting next to me, just didn't paid no mind. And the being says, "Let me in." I said, "Oh, no way, dude! I am not letting you in."
Yeah, Lyra didn't even respond.
Yeah, and my wife's the one you hear, and um, she was still sleeping. So I said, "No, no." Being says, "We're going to keep doing this until you let me in." So blackout. I wake up the next day. Um, we the same thing happens. I go to bed. I walk out. I wake up. I walk out down the hallway. Go to the French doors, and the being standing there. And the dog comes up, sits down, and the being says, uh, "You're gonna let me in?" No, man. No. Okay, okay, okay. I'll let you in. So I open the door, and the being starts putting its hand through the door, and I freaked out, and I slammed the door on the being's hand, and the being was fighting to get its hand back, pulled its hand back. It sat down. I sat down. It was like almost I had the not much control over myself. Like I wouldn't just run away. And so I sit down, and the being says, "We're going to do this every day until you let me in." And the third night is when I finally open the door. So, I go out there, I open the door. The being comes inside and turns to me and says, "Hey, you ready to go?" And I'm like, "Yeah, let's go." So the being walks me out into the yard, and there was like a light above us, and then next thing I know, I'm aboard the craft, right? And there's a view screen, a big view screen, and the being says, "Come here, I want to show you something." So we're I'm looking at the view screen, and we're about like, I don't know. It's like looking out the window of an airplane by a highway wire. So what was that, like 30, 40,000 feet, give or take, right? Because I can see the entire valley from the height we were at. The So I'm in, if anybody's familiar with Central California, coastal Central California, uh, Monterey, Santa Cruz area. So I'm looking at the valley and I see the northern lights, right? But it was like red, reddish, orangish color, and the wave patterns going. And it wasn't in the sky; it was on the ground. And the being said, "Soon." And uh, I freaked out, and I was like, "Oh my god!" It showed me the end of the world, and I woke, blacked out, and then woke up. Now this was the first experience that I had regressed with Barbara Lamb. But I haven't met Barbara Lamb then, So from the regression, because I remembered that, uh, clear, and it stuck with me for a while, thinking that I saw, a world-ending event, and it turns out it kind of is, kind of isn't, but um, the regressed version part of that story, what is, I was the being then turned said, "Soon," goes down this hallway, and there's a mantis, what you would call a praying mantis being, uh, and not like your buggy type, like a, I don't know, they look like more like a salamander that's shaped like a praying mantis. They don't really have an exoskeleton on these guys, but it kind of goes down the hallway with this, what you would call a tall white Zeta, and go into this room. And in the room there's this like mushroom table, this copper-ish colored mushroom table with like this crystal black top on it, and the mantis being stands in front of it with the other being next to him, and the mantis being touches the table like this, and it like ripples out, and you see this, I mean, perfect, just perfect, uh display of a holographic display of our solar system. And I was like, "Oh wow, this is blowing me away." And the being says, "No, no, no, don't pay attention to the tech, pay attention to what we're showing you." So they zoom out towards, like, out in the orbit, I'm guessing around Neptune, Uranus, deep space, and they showed me like a rock, the space rock coming in. They explained to me that what was going to end up happening was this rock would come in from deep space, circle around the sun, come back around, go by the Earth, and then drift off into space, and that people would be amazed by it, but they would not really know exactly what it is. But to them, it's going to be interesting, but they won't know what it is. And you know, Oumuamua is what it ended up being. And this was back in 2009 when I saw that. So um, this they explained to me what the rock was. They explained it like it was uh, like a a big surfer wave, right? And you have to have a jet ski to tow the surfer in. So what ended up happening was a pulse is coming from galactic center because something fell into the supermassive black hole about 25,000 years ago or so, and it takes that long for the energy to come out. Well, this thing's supposed to come around, and it was like hooking up portals uh, from our sun to the Earth, and it's supposed to help kind of like help Earth itself go through this big blast coming from galactic center. And then they said, okay, that's all you needed to know. And like, okay. And they took me off, and next thing I know, they zapped me back into bed. And so, anyways, I wake up the next morning, only remembering the first part, and going to work, being like, dude, kind of scared, like, what is going on with me right now? Uh, so I started asking. I was like, I need to see something big. I need something more concrete because otherwise, I'm thinking I'm just going crazy, right? So I go through my work day, and I come home, and we were staying at my mother-in-law's house at the time, and it was December 20th, 2009. About 6 o'clock, mother-in-law took off into town, so it was dark by then. And I go to make a phone call. Oh no, my wife goes to make a phone call, and the phone wasn't working. So I go to make a phone call. Well, let me try. I go to make a phone call. Phone's not working. Okay, well, let's just go out and have a smoke and try again later. So we go out into the front yard, and this neon blue light appears in the sky, right? And it was like a bar with another smaller bar like this. So what you're looking at a giant triangle, right? And on the back is this plasma bar, and then a smaller plasma bar closer to the front. Then this thing turns on and starts moving like this around us, right? We're talking a big area too. I don't know how far would you like, about a mile, Megan? That thing was dancing around us. I would say it could go right over our head, but I mean, like a square mile kind of deal, give or take. It moves like how flies in the center of, like, you see the little house flies and they're flying around. I mean, move just like that. And then every once in a while, bing, 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 bing. You know, so it would. I mean, we're talking like, going from 0 to 1,000 miles an hour in a second, making these 90-degree turns. And I'd tell my wife, "Oh my God, go get the camera, go get the camera." She runs inside, grabs the camera.
It was just happened to be sitting right by the front door at the time.
Yeah.
We were lucky.
So every time she goes to take a picture, the battery would go down to 0. She'd be like, "I can't get it. I mean, full battery." And she said, "I can't get it. I can't get it." And it would go to 0 every time. So um, finally, she got a flash off, and the camera flashed, right, and the ship stops, and it does an about face, flies over to the neighbor.
Well, it comes flying up the road.
Yeah,
The
yeah.
road on it.
We're in a
And it was
cul-de-sac.
low altitude coming up the corner of the street.
Yeah, we're at a in a cul-de-sac, and it comes up with the street, it hangs out in the neighbor, kind of above the neighbor's house, right? And
It's a two-bathroom house.
oh yeah, I forgot to mention, Megan, when she shoots the camera, right, two orange all of a sudden, two orange lights light up in the neighbor's house and shoot back to the craft. Then the craft goes. So in the picture, I I shared you with the picture, Catherine, on your Facebook. So in the picture, you can see the blue light, and then you can see the two beings transporting back to the. It's almost like they got. Oh shit! They got us. So, oh sorry, I got to watch my French. Oh darn, they got us. So the ship goes parks right above the neighbor's house, and this is a black, gigantic black triangle, the size of a house, but it was thin, right? So when you look at it squarely, when it's this giant triangle, but if you look at it like this, it was really really thin. Uh, so it flies over our head at like, I mean, I could have thrown a rock and hit the thing. It was so close, and I can see inside of it, right? Because they were turning their, let's call them engines for lack of a better term, but they were turning their engines off, or plasma drives, and you look inside like okay, the canister lights inside of the a house, right? And you got the little canister and the light in there. It looks like these canisters, right? There's three sets of three on the back. So one, two, three, one, two, three, one, two, three, and then two sets of three in the front. Inside the canister light was a pyramid, and on the very tip of the pyramid was a sphere of infinite darkness. It's almost like it had little black holes on the tip of uh, the craziest thing the craziest thing ever. I mean, like little black holes with this purple light coming off of it. Well, then when they turn them back on, the blue plasma would like circle around these little black holes, and then the little black things would just glow bright blue, and it's like controlling the bars, and it floated on that, right? So I remember thinking, oh my God, you know, uh, this is it. This is we're going to go away.
Down. I thought we were gonna get
Yeah,
beamed up.
I was waiting to go. I was waiting to go. And so finally, I was able to get the phone to work. So,
This is after that was after it got.
well, it was like,
shut
yeah, it
off.
was like 40, no, it was 45 minutes. Remember, I was talking to my mom and dad, and I got the phone to work, and I was like, oh my God, mom and dad, you're not going to believe what I'm looking at right now, with a lot more curse words. And they said, what is going on? Well, the craft starts flashing us, right? And I had a 85 IROC Z28 Camaro, right? And my wife has a little
Hatchback.
Volkswagen hatchback,
Right there, too.
and all you hear the metal on my IROC started warping. You can hear it crunch, pop, 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 crunch, and
My keyless entry.
the keyless entry for my wife's car, the battery
It
was
had been
dying.
broken.
Yeah, the battery was dying, and all of a sudden, we've never had to change that battery. We still have the car.
No, we haven't changed the battery.
Yeah,
since.
haven't changed the battery since.
It fixed the keyless entry
Yeah, weird.
mechanism on my key.
So it will. I remember going telling my wife, well, we got to tell somebody about this. So we go out I run to the neighbor's house, and her kitchen's kind of in there, and I can
Right in the entryway.
right in the entryway. I can see her doing dishes, and I'm pounding on the door, and she was just completely oblivious. I was ringing the doorbell, pounding on the door, and it was almost like
She couldn't hear.
yeah, she couldn't hear. I find out later that they are able to put us in these uh, uh, I don't know, let's call it a bubble of reality, right? Where we're experiencing something, but nobody else can experience it. Uh, my all of a sudden, then it takes off, right? And so you hear this like crack, it like cracked the atmosphere, like a gigantic,
in the cloud.
like a gigantic whip,
Because
right?
we had yeah.
And then it scans there's a horse, what's
Arena.
horse arena or
No, equestrian center.
there's an equestrian center in the neighborhood over, and it's this green laser triangle thing. It's all wow. It scans
It
the
comes out in a
area.
triangle from the ship.
Yeah.
So it kind of just focuses on us as a beam of light spread out on us at the bottom.
Yeah. And then it takes off.
It scanned us both. It went over us and kind of went whoa.
Yeah.
It was a sound.
Yeah, like whoa. And then it takes off, right? Just instant gone to space. Now, it was overcast that night, and when it took off, it started burning a hole
into the cloud
in the
cover.
cloud cover, right? Like, I mean, just the whole fog. You're watching it burn this hole, right? And that's when my wife's
because when we saw it in the first place, it was above the fog.
Yeah,
darting around. That's
like
when we're like, look at this. The phone doesn't work. Oh shit! Look at this. Oh, I'm sorry, but oh, look at this.
Yeah,
so to get away from us, I guess it had to burn a hole through the fog line.
It's that much energy going through the fog. So it takes off. My wife's mom comes back with groceries.
She's pulling into the driveway,
and we're like, "Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh my god!" Did you see it? And I told my parents, "Oh yeah, I'll talk to you later. Talk to you later," and hang up with them. And her mom's like, "Oh yeah, I saw some blue light over the house. I don't know what that was about." So we were just, can you guys put the groceries away? We're like, dude, oh my god. And so after that you hear, and you see this
F-16.
No, it's not an F-6. It's more like an I can't tell the difference between an F-18 or F-15 so much.
Army plane.
No, it's probably F-15 Air Force.
Military aircraft.
Yeah, it's like an F-15, and you can see the missiles on it.
Yeah, they had live missiles on it.
No lights whatsoever.
Because I was going out to the trunk to get the groceries, and here it comes flying over.
Yeah.
And it was so low.
You can see the pilot.
So loud that I had to duck down. I ducked down by the car, thinking that it was going to crash into the house.
Yeah, we ducked
across the street.
We hid from the jet, and then the jet went taking off after the crash, and I was thinking, oh my god, I would not want to be that pilot going after that thing, because who knows what it was. At that time we had no clue what it was. We were just completely blown away.
Yeah.
So that happened. I didn't know who to call. I was completely freaking out, and
we didn't know where to turn.
Yeah, so I found MUFON, right? And I got a hold of MUFON. MUFON sent out one of their he was like star level investigators. God, I can't remember his name. It was like Charles Fetterman, I think it was.
Something like that.
He was a nuclear physicist from Livermore Labs, right? Came over, and we went through the whole interview process and whatnot. And
at the time, I was staying anonymous. I didn't want to say anything that I saw anything. I just wanted to be like, "What is this? You go figure it out and let us know."
Yeah, I was getting.
He was asking lots of questions.
I was starting to get phone calls from Robert Bigelow.
Yeah, but tell him what Charles called the encounter.
Yeah, they called it a level 4.
Fourth encounter.
Level 4 encounter.
The fourth kind.
So, oh my God, something's definitely going on with me. I started getting calls from Robert Bigelow. He's all, do you even know who you're talking to right now? I'm all, no, but he was a little pushy with wanting information. And so I cut off correspondence with him. And
we didn't like his demeanor.
Yeah. So
how did he get your number?
Through MUFON.
Through MUFON, huh?
Yeah. But you know what? I think he owned MUFON back then.
Oh, really? He was
Yeah.
involved
Yeah, he
heavily.
was involved because the star guy said, well, if we can confirm that there was an actual landing, we'll have a C-130 drop a supply crate right here because there's a billionaire that's connected to this MUFON Institute. So, and I think I was told back then that Bigelow owned MUFON back then, or it had a big part in it, right?
Mm.
Uh, so my saying was always kind of like, well, maybe might not want to fully trust MUFON all the way, but that was then. It's probably different now. So, uh, um, yeah. So I'm like going, okay. I need I need confirmation that something's going on. My wife were big hockey fans, right? And so
We had season tickets
we
at
had
the time.
season tickets to the San Jose Sharks, right? So San Jose and where I live, it's about what is it,
An hour.
45 minutes drive. So uh I was like, I'm starting to get into it, right? Like I need to make contact. I need more. I need to know what's going on. Why is this happening to me? I'm still getting really sick, right? So I remember I'm like uh getting worse and worse and worse. About this time I was from 210, I was down to like one
You
150.
could barely eat bananas and chicken noodle soup
Yeah, that's all I can eat. Bananas and chicken noodle soup was it.
out of the can.
And so essentially I was dying. And so I was like desperate for answers, right? So um, what I did was try an experiment. I thought, okay, we're going to try a little experiment here. Uh, every time that there's a goal made, the whole crowd gets up and cheers, right? And I thought, okay, what if I use that energy to send out a signal like, hey guys, right? So I thought about like, uh, I don't know, having this loving feeling and filling the whole room with this loving
The
feeling,
arena.
the
The
arena,
arena.
and then push out like, hello, I'm here. So, the game ends and we're on our way home. And I told my wife, I said, we have this one back road that it's been on Coast to Coast AM one time about, oh, it's a real creepy road. So I always like driving that way. Um,
It's fun. It's old locals way to
yeah,
go.
so we had this little hot rod car, and I mean,
My little
yeah, a little
R32.
Volkswagen hot rod, and Corvette pulls up, and I race this black Corvette, and totally blew my doors off. But anyway, so uh, I we take this little side road, country road, and all of a sudden this light blows over the car's head, right? And I'm like, oh my God, what was that? What's that? Did you see that? Did you see that? I will get the camera ready, get the camera ready. And you can see the craft down the road, right? And all of a sudden my wife goes to take a picture. When she takes the picture, two objects pass the car. So I always kind of thought because I raced that Corvette that the beings flew by us with these two little orbs, uh, just to be like, oh, look what we can do, kind of thing, right? And then they go into the craft, and so I sent you Catherine. The picture is the two objects passing the car, and if you look down the road, you can see the tiny little dot hovering off the road, and that's the craft. So we get to
Keep in mind, these lighted objects were coming at us with nothing around them. Are you talking about the picture with the two
the
lights?
two lights, yeah.
Yeah, and they're coming at us with nothing around them. You can see right around them and through them almost.
Yeah, they're orbs, just like,
Yeah, because there was no other cars on the road. It was just phenomenal.
yeah. So we get down to the stop sign, and it's this little like area. There's a plaque there because there was an ancient battle there between the Spaniards and the natives at the time. So there's a plaque that memorializes it, and it's like on a field.
It's a landmark.
It's a landmark area. So all of a sudden, this we park and the craft is just dancing, around the car, right? Bouncing around us and zip, 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 zip. And then it would take off to the peak. So there's on the peak there's these lights, the mountain collision lights, and it would hover above the collision lights, and a car would drive by, right? And then so as soon as the car was gone, boom, it'd come back, start dancing around, and again another car would come, and it'd take off, and then come back, and finally there's like another side road, and the craft would go down the side road, like follow me down here, follow me down here. And I've never felt such fear in my entire life at the time, because if when you get a confirmation that, oh, you are now being targeted by extraterrestrials, that first initial fear is just, it's overwhelming to say the least, right? I say, oh, F that, and I jump in the car, and we take off, and then the craft starts chasing us down the road, right? Well, my parents' house is just right there,
Off the off ramp.
off the road right there. So I pull into my parents' house. It was like 2 in the morning by this time, right?
Yeah.
And the craft takes off. I'm pounding on the door. My dad comes out in his whitey tighties. He's like, "What's going on? What's going on?" And I'm like, "Dude, look." And he's like, "What? What?" I'm like, "Oh my god, dude."
And they were gone.
Dude, and they were gone. Yeah. So, you know, uh, that's what solidified,
That's
the
what got us into the
yeah,
ufology.
got me like the real start of my experiences, and there was a lot. I mean, so many things since then. That's when I um, was scared out of my mind because I was dying. I mean, the doctor did say that by the end of my sickness, I was down to 135 pounds, and the doctor, and I'm 6 feet tall, so that's not good for
You
me.
were pretty skin and bones.
Yeah, and everyone was really worried about me, and the doctor said, "Well, you're going to need a feeding tube put in you because you're going to pass away here pretty soon if this doesn't stop." And just like that, snap, it disappeared. The sickness. So
So after the doctor said that to you,
correct, yeah. After the
totally
doctor,
changed course and you started to get better.
correct, yeah, yeah. To my record-breaking.
Now we're back up.
You look healthy in a good way, No,
Yeah.
Yes, thank you.
A little
Yeah.
chunky, but yeah, I'm fine now.
Did you ever find out what happened, like why you got so sick?
Nobody ever had a diagnosis.
Yeah, we never got a diagnosis. So it's definitely ET related.
Mhm.
One theory was that what it was is because I went through, I don't know, like a hyper acceleration in a sense.
Mhm.
I went from just being a normal guy to a full
Close
blown,
encounter
yeah,
of the fourth kind.
full blown contactee um, scenario.
Shock to the system kind of deal.
Yeah, and like they were kind of, because you know later on find out that I'm in one of the hybrid programs.
Mhm. So when you went, can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
When you went out into your yard with the being that was at your French doors, and you went up into the craft, was that your physical body that went up into that craft?
Yeah, physical body.
Okay. So it wasn't your consciousness. It wasn't your spirit body that went up. It was your physical
Physical.
body. that
Yeah.
went up into the craft.
Right. And I see, and that's why I think that I had the stomach issue too, because of having the physical interactions with the beings.
Yeah.
What?
That is that is a that is a, can everyone mute, please? Yeah, that is a shock to the system for sure. If, like you said, your physical body went up. So after that, that was in 2009.
29. Yeah.
2009. And then after that, everything you said accelerate, like you had so many experiences after that. And you were able to understand more about your connection to these beings.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Which I believe one of those interactions was what got you back on track to get healthy again.
Right. Oh yeah.
Because it just disappeared.
Right. The my first mantis being encounter. Well, my first like memory of a mantis being encounter, because I haven't met Barbara Lamb yet, and I was um, I was in bed, or going to bed, and I hear this really strong voice in my head. Oh, I don't like that very much. I'm like, okay. Just kept saying it. I don't like that very much. I'm like, okay, well, what don't I like very much? So I looked to the side of the bed, and I had like Megan's, my wife's grandfather's old hatchet was next to the bed. And
yeah, I just happened to have it in my room
yeah,
because my mom gave it to me. And she's like, "This was your grandpa's. You can have it."
yeah. So okay, I guess I don't like the hatchet. So I picked the hatchet up and I put it in the dresser. And the voice said, "I still don't like it very much, but that's okay. I'm not going to make you go outside to get rid of it because it's cold." I'm like, okay, I'm like thinking that's the weird things to be thinking. And Megan says, "Well, what are you up to?" And I said, "I'm just getting ready for bed."
So I went to sleep.
Yeah, she goes to sleep. And then I remember, I thought, "Oh no, dude! Like you guys are gonna come tonight, aren't you? So don't wake my wife up. You might freak her out."
Which I'm upset about that now.
Yeah. So I go to bed, and I wake up, and there's this like golden light in the room, right? Like the whole room was filled with this golden light. And I looked at the foot of the bed, and there was one of these 6 foot tall praying mantis like beings, right? And they like I said, they not these guys with the exoskeletons. They got like a real soft skin with like you can see the kind of like goosebumps on their skin, right? And little fat rolls. They got little fat rolls on their belly, and uh, my hands do it. So I got the
Oh, look at that.
my hands go, but their hands are like this, right? And
Mhm.
their fingers kind of go all the way down to the thing. So they look like they're like this. This is how their stand is, and uh, um, the being bows to me, and I remember thinking, what in the world? Like, why are you bowing to me, man? Like, I don't get it. All of a sudden, this overwhelming feeling of, oh my God, I know you.
Mhm.
I don't know how to describe it. It's almost like your whole like a childhood friend, right? That you were like the closest you can ever imagine, like a sibling or even a parent, right? But you haven't seen them in like 100+ years, right? And all of a sudden there they are, and you're like, I know you. Oh my God, right? So um, it smiles, and I just start uncontrollably laughing, when just this blissed out kind of like laughter, and it puts its finger out and touches my third eye, and I black out, right? So yeah, that's when I started getting better after that. And I had uh, a friend of mine, well, my who ended up becoming my mentor, because I was emailing all the contactees. I was trying to email David Wilcock. I was trying to email James Gilliland. I was watching their videos, and I'm like, what is going on? Never got a reply, ever, ever, ever. And I finally got a hold of Cynthia Crawford, the ET sculptor, right? Who's now passed away. But she ended up becoming my mentor because she emailed me back, "Oh my God, I totally believe you." So, uh, yeah, because she was a hybrid contactee. And so she really helped me like understand what I was going through. And that's how I got in touch with Barbara Lamb, because Barbara Lamb was friends with her. And
Mhm.
so Barbara Lamb and I became really close friends. And I mean, Barbara Lamb and I have been on so many crazy adventures. Like we did Ancient Aliens together. We've done contact missions together out in the desert. we did the documentary together. So
Yeah, and I guess
yeah,
like focus groups and
yeah. I always thought it was cool because all kinds of stuff. Yeah, I always thought it was cool because I was like we did our Ancient Alien episode. We were stay at the same hotel, and I had to drive Barbara Lamb to the thing. I'm like, how cool is it? I'm driving Barbara Lamb to an Ancient Alien taping.
Yeah, I bet you never would have thought that would have happened, right?
Not in a million years. Not in a million years.
She's such a sweet lady. She's just so, so sweet. I love her.
Right, right.
Yeah.
And so because of my friendship with Barbara Lamb, that's why did the books and stuff. And
Mhm.
I felt that it was kind of important for me to at least tell the what's happened to me because what really upset me was that I'm going through this, and I was like at work, and I'm like, you don't believe what happened to me last night, and I'm showing pictures and stuff of spaceships, and they're like, oh, you're crazy, and I'm like, dude, no, I was like, oh, something is horribly wrong with the world because
Yes. Want to hear it unless they experienced it themselves. They do not want to hear about it.
no, was the cognitive dissonance is pretty strong. Yeah, pretty strong.
Yes, exactly. Well, it's really nice that you and your wife got to experience some of these experiences together.
Right, because it doesn't
Yeah.
happen.
Yeah, many people don't have that. One will be totally not into it at all and just act like it's not even going on, or they don't have the experience, and then the other one has it. So it's nice that you both got to experience that
Right,
together, and you
right.
have support, you know.
She's definitely my grounding force, though. She's the more grounded one, where I was the one that was more. I'm I'm out in space half the time. You know.
Yeah. Yeah, that's how it was explained to me too. Like you need, you always have to have like somebody that's more grounding, because the one that's connected to these beings is usually more out there. So they help to ground us a little bit, which is nice.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So what did you find out about your connection? Like what was the purpose for them contacting you? Somebody asked that in the
So okay, so after exhaustive that probably a couple thousand hours worth of reading and then plus the experience and stuff. It's we're going into the hybridization thing. So and the star seed thing, right? So it comes down to uh, consciousness and the soul, where these physical bodies that we exist in are just containers for a I don't know, a divine expression. So we're like little sparks of divinity, if you will,
Mhm.
and we're just experiencing this human reality. So uh, sometimes you get into where their consciousness, because they can't really, because of certain laws and things, they're not allowed to really fully interact with human Earth, um, because whatever the problem is here, they just can't do it. So the only way they can is to have a human existence, and also a lot of them, in a way, um, which is completely separate from the gray hybrid program. There's quite a few different hybrid programs going on out there, but this would be where they've uh, uh, through a selective genetics, they come and maybe sprinkle a little something extra, right? So that way they can have a incarnation on Earth. So
Mhm.
so it's basically like a for mantis beings, anyways. It's almost like because I'm from that uh, conscious. Let's call it a conscious field, that I'm able to experience them. And then,
Mhm.
of course, there's a lot of other nefarious things too. Because of that, you got to deal with uh, the bugs on Earth, if you will, like reptilian groups and the AI grays. So there is that. Oh, and my lab too, which is a whole nother ball game. I'm not really getting into, because that's when you start getting into trouble.
Mhm. Yeah. So have you had, I mean, I don't want to ask you anything that have you had experiences with my lab, or is it just something you've heard about and just.
A couple nasty ones, yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It's good not to feed into that energy. So
Mm-hmm.
I get
Yeah,
it.
a couple
Yeah.
nasty ones, and then of course with the Greys too. And
Hmm. Hmm.
uh, they're so their hybrid program, from what I understand, is like, they're, as people have heard, the dying AI race, right? Because they've they only cared about um, evolving their species, right? And they've uh, come at a standstill where they've learned everything they can, and they're starting to degrade, because they're just AI clones. But they know that once they turn off, that they're done, and they've kind of become like a somewhat of a parasitic type entity, because they understand that uh, they can achieve evolution through experience. So in a way, they kind of like parasite off people to experience vicariously, and
Hmm.
then they have a hybrid program because of uh, uh, they believe that the only way that they can evolve further is to house a soul, but their bodies don't have the ability to house a soul. So
Yeah.
they take the human DNA and intertwine it with theirs, so that way they can create a hybrid that has the capacity to contain a soul.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Very interesting. So did you did you ever find out if your family has had these experiences too? Because a lot of time with the hybrids, it is intergenerational.
Right. Right. Somewhat, my family wasn't really into it. You-
Hmm.
Um, like an odd thing here or there.
Yeah.
They definitely had a
Like paranormal stuff, right?
slight stuff. Yeah, a little thing here, a little thing there, but they've always kind of maintained a normal-ish life, right? So they
But
were.
when you told them about the UFOs, it didn't really seem to phase your mom. She was just like, "Oh, help me put the groceries away," right? So it was almost like she knew about it, but didn't really want.
Just yeah.
Didn't phase her at all, right?
Uh,
It's the way you
no,
described that. So who knows? Maybe she did have a connection, but just wasn't consciously aware of it, at
yeah,
the,
yeah. Never
yeah,
know. They don't ever really talk about it, that kind of stuff, but
yeah,
just lived a normal life.
yeah. But they're not calling you crazy or anything, right? They're not.
Yeah, at first they were kind of like, but then when I started doing the more public stuff, they're like, wait a minute, there's really
Yeah,
to this.
Yeah, when he got published in the book, they
Yeah,
started looking
they
into
took
it.
it serious. Yeah.
yeah. After I did like the book, and after I started doing a couple interviews here and there, they were like, oh my God, this is serious, isn't it? Like, yeah, man. Yeah.
Ah, wow. Oh, that's awesome. So what would you say your relationship is like now with the beings? Are there more than one type?
I've
Or,
seen a few different types. Yeah.
mhm.
Um, there's the mantis beings. So the little grays, right? That I first experienced, they too are also a biomechanical robot of sorts, but they like the movie Avatar. They're like the beings that the mantis project their consciousness into. So that way they're the ones that are the ones interacting or doing procedures or doing whatever, and then the mantis being is in the background, projecting its consciousness into these little guys.
Oh, okay.
Then
Okay.
you, then you got uh, the tall white Zetas, right? Which
Mhm.
is, and then you got um, three different reptilian groups. You know, the big ones that look like dragons that
Mhm.
people would call the Alpha Draconians, and then you got uh, I don't know the names of the other ones. They call themselves like the Galactic Federation Flight, but they're the ones that uh, some people would call a shapeshifter. But they're not shape shifting. They just have like it's a holographic overlay, but a hologram so real. I mean, you wouldn't be able to tell the difference.
Yeah.
Uh,
Now,
and
are they benevolent?
I kind of tend to call them a false light, right?
Mm,
So it's almost like they um, they appear to be benevolent, but it's like a false.
right. It doesn't have that real sense to it. It feels like it's almost fake in a way.
Correct. Yeah.
Mhm.
Correct. Because they present themselves as the long blonde hair, gorgeous, uh, blue jumpsuit, you know,
Mhm.
stereotypical Nordic type, or what some people call the tall whites, but it's a holographic projection that they show you, but they just something doesn't feel right, and
Yeah.
every once in a while you kind of see like a digital glitch, and you can see the you know, lack of a better term, the giant lizard behind the veil there. So, but
Yeah.
they present as like really nice. Um,
So why are they in touch with you? Did you find out
they
what?
they these particular ones wanted me to be a contact for them, so they wanted me to be a channeler, where I would channel their messages of good tidings and love and new age kind of stuff, right? And
Mhm.
um, uh, I just nah. I was like, no, I'm not, I don't feel right doing that. So I totally rejected them. And then uh, what's the other ones? Then there's these little tiny reptilians, which is the same. They're like these more doing the uh, procedures and stuff. So like the lower end reptilians.
What about the ones that Barbara Lamb had seen that you had also seen? They were
Oh,
like the
the
little
the
bubblehead
little
guys.
like uh,
Little
ju-
bubblehead guys.
they look like the little
Marshmallow
no, they
bubbleheads.
look like in Star Wars. They look like the little guys with the red cloaks are real small, and I don't know what the
Oh,
Jabbas I think they're called.
Well,
Oh, the little guys. They're like
you and Barbara had that in
yeah,
common.
yeah,
it's funny. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Interesting.
And then oh geez, what else was there? Oh, of course, and then your big-headed grays. You know that negative AI grays, and that's pretty much all the ones that I've. And the ones you always seen. They're like in cloaks. They're called nebulans.
Oh, those are my peoples.
Yeah, the ones that Megan
They called name. What did you say they're called?
nebulans.
Nebula.
I doubt
Healers.
that's their names, but we've always called them nebulan healers.
Oh, okay. And they're little also.
They're tall. Now, see
These are tall and
these
they
guys
wear
are tall,
cloaks.
and these guys, yeah, they wear cloaks, and it's like their cloak is their ship. So these are like trans-dimensional beings, uh,
Yeah.
pop in and
They
out.
don't have a face, right? You can't really see a
Yeah, you
face.
can't see the face. Megan's seen their face, but I've never seen. For me, it's like just black, an emptiness inside of a
I've seen their.
cloak. Yeah.
Somebody wrote in the chat, Jawas from Star Wars. Is that?
Yeah,
Those are the ones.
yeah, little Jawas.
That's
Yeah.
what they remind you of.
That's what they look like, just like that.
Well, Barbara Lamb also had a connection to the reptilian, well, because there's all different beings. So, but
Yeah,
she had a very positive experience with a reptilian being. She said she
right.
got a lot of love from that being, you
There are
know?
there are positive ones out there. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. So it's very, yeah, there's so much to it, right? But the
there's
one that you really felt that real heart connection with, that was the mantis type being, right?
right. My
So
main
many different kinds of those too. So they're not all the
my,
same.
my
Yeah.
main connection is the mantis. I asked once, like you know, how many different types of mantis are there out there? They showed me like, hey, watch this, documentary about praying mantises, and so there's this little documentary about Earth praying mantises. I said
Yeah.
about as many different species of praying mantises on Earth there are out there. And
Mm.
one thing that I've noticed is that people a lot of the times will get fixated on one particular stream idea, right? Let's say like the ETs are demonic, right? And so or the ETs are only good, or the truth that I've found, it's like the answer is everything, right? So
Mm.
as much as like there are stars in the vast galaxies of the universe out there, uh, is what's going on. It's just the problem is, on Earth there's some sort of uh, really negative thing happening here, and so we're under like a quarantine of
Mm.
sorts. So we're not able to interact with all these different beings. Um, but I
Yeah.
guess you can get yourself out of it. Just you just I don't know, be an awesome person, and that tends to help.
Yeah. So, do you think that your connection with these beings helped you to become a more like a different kind of person, or did they help you to be more spiritual in a way? Or
Yeah, 1,000%. Yeah,
yeah,
1,000% more spiritual, more
In touch with
aware, yeah, in touch with things,
everything.
nature. I have a real big connection with nature
Yeah.
and animals, that it's kind of weird.
mhm,
Um, but yeah, it's 100% they're doing, because one thing that um, uh, I kind of came to the conclusion of is that if I want a better connection with the beings, then I got to kind of come to their level. So I need to be a more loving, kind, um, generous, and grateful person. So it completely altered who I am,
yeah,
person.
mm,
I think for the better. I think. Yeah. The only downside I would say is that living through this, it's it's really hard to interact normally, you know. So, so
with the normies, you mean with
yeah.
the
So,
normies? Yeah,
your lack of a better term, yeah, just as everyday people. So, like, you kind of have to. Uh, I learned how to play pretend very well, and
yeah,
have this pretend version of myself to help interact with your everyday people.
yeah. But it's hard because you can't really be yourself, like because you feel like you can't really be yourself, your true self in front of anybody. So it
Right.
is it is hard. But it's good that we have these groups now and people are talking and we're getting together on Zoom, which is really nice.
It's wonderful. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Wonderful.
you're always welcome. You and your wife are always welcome to come to any of these groups and
Ew.
unity. Mhm.
I, she's camera shy. I heard have her say.
Yeah. That's
Well,
that's
I'm just in the background. We live in a tight space.
nice to hear both of you sharing this story.
Thanks.
So, and you're always welcome to join us.
Yeah.
So I'm going to, if, did you want to share anything else? There was one more question somebody had. Do the beings come to Earth for personal missions or for larger causes?
Oh, I would say all the above. Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, I would say they do little things for larger causes, but uh the thing is that we have to remember that I'm 44 years old, right? And I would consider myself to be um I don't know,
Well,
somewhat wise and experienced, but then, like my grandfather passed away. He was like, what, granddad? 70,
70s.
70s, way more experienced, way more wise. Um, but these beings, they would see a 100-year-old as a child.
Yeah.
You know, some of these guys live to be thousands, countless thousands of years old, if not millions of years old. And our species,
Yeah, we don't know.
our species is uh how long has humanity been on supposedly on Earth for? Like, we've been evolving for like what, 1 million years, give or take, in few hundred thousands for our species, and then civilization, as far as we're aware, of course. But I'm just going off of basic science and history knowledge, but it's like what, 5,000 years, ancient Sumerians. So to them, we're like children, and they've been evolved. Some have been evolving for billions of years, right? So they got a billion years on us. So it's like, if you ask them, what are you doing? It's almost like, well, there's no point to tell you because you wouldn't really understand what we're doing.
Right.
Yeah, so they do things that way out of what we can
Returns.
know.
And yeah, we're only using a very small part of our brain.
Correct.
So,
Yeah.
if we were to awaken fully to who we truly are while embodied, um, we might have a chance at understanding some of the stuff that they do.
Totally right. Totally right.
Yeah. But I think that's coming, or for humanity eventually. We're getting there. But it is interesting, and the thing that I love to hear about is your connection with this being, and how you felt like family, right? Like you felt like you knew him, like he was your long lost friend from another time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, yeah, so it's my understanding that we all have had not only lives as human beings, but we have connections to our interdimensional families too, our families from other dimensions and planets and worlds, and
So
so bring that in with us too. But then we forget when we come here, right? When we come into the human form, we forget about those connections until something
so
wakes.
true. Right. So true. We're born into a blackness, in a sense. It's like it's brand new, so it's like, poof, you're brand new, figure it out. So we're you know
And
we,
we sign on for that. So we're considered brave, uh and we're considered just that's why you're being bowed to you, because
Mhm.
to come into this human form, it is not for the weak, and people that take that on, beings that take that on are very strong and courageous beings.
Right, because Earth is, this it's the greatest, most difficult school out there. Well, at least
Yep.
in this area.
Yeah, it sure is. So
I know. I would say I'm not going to do it again, but
yeah,
I always, I always,
everybody says that.
everyone says that. You know what though? I bet you, after you cross over, you say, you know what, that was fun. Let's do it again.
Yeah, eventually.
I'm definitely taking a vacation.
Well, somebody had a question. Do you get constant downloads, or and if so, does it interfere with your daily life, or does this, what's happening with you, interfere, or have you been able to,
Yes.
manage it and get through it and understand it more?
Yes. It at first, remember when I first started, Megan,
Yeah.
and then like I'd be doing something, all of a sudden I'm snap focus, and I'll start drawing like symbols and
swirly doodles.
geometry, and
Yeah.
really really complex geometry with symbols, and uh, it just, yeah, snapped me into it, and then after a while, like now, because I'm, this is 2009, 2010 when it started, all the way through
It's
2013,
spaced out.
yeah, to now, where I can just do it at will, instead of having like a getting beamed. Yeah, instead of being shut down. Yeah, that's the difference, as it goes through. I would say you become more
In tune.
in tune, integrated. Yeah, you're more integrated. So where, like, they said that, when you get to a point, you don't need to see the um, you don't need to see the ships anymore, because we can just communicate with you fluidly and more controlled
Mhm.
environments. So yeah, it's
So you just tap into them anytime you want, really.
to a degree, yeah,
Yeah.
to a degree,
Nice.
yeah. It was like the other day I was joking around with a friend of mine who I'm my old paint boss, and because I used to work in the paint industry, painting houses, and so my old boss, uh, God bless his soul, I got him to have his first contact. So I do have people around me will start seeing shit too eventually, and
He's still alive. He got
yeah,
into it. He
but I
has
was
regular contact.
now he does, yeah. So
Yeah.
I was talking to him like, oh, we can just get them to help me win the lottery. So I was like, hey, you guys, could you guys help me win the lottery? Yes, we could help you win the lottery. Will you help me win the lottery? No, we will not help you.
Oh, that's great.
So
That's
yeah,
awesome.
it becomes more controlled and more fluid as time goes on.
Yeah. Well, that's great. Well, you've been doing it for a while, so,
Yes,
now
yes,
you're considered an old pro at it.
yeah.
Hey, the time ticks on,
That's
you know?
that's the way to that's a good way to describe it. It's
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
you become more of a pro at it.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, this has been great. Really, it's so nice to have you here and to share your story. And so I'm going to come into the spotlight and I'm going to ask if anybody else would like to ask Robert a question. You can just use the raise hand function and it'll bring you over to the left-hand side and you can come in and ask. All right. Here she is.
Hi, Robert. Thank you so much for your incredible story. I appreciate it. Just be going through what you're going through before you understood it, like back in 2009. Uh, Getting constant downloads, it interferes with his daily life, and he struggles and gets very angry about it at times.
The best thing to do for that, all right. So my mentor taught me that the feeling of love, right, is a pretty powerful tool. So if you you breathe in, and as you breathe in, you want to have a loving feeling. I know for some people it's hard to, you know, feel love. So the most important thing in the entire universe is to have a love for yourself, right? Once you find that love for yourself, then you can, you know, bring it into yourself. So you just make yourself feel a loving feeling. And then when you breathe out, you project that loving feeling. And that's kind of like how you do a basic just clearing. You cleanse the area out and it kind of pushes away the negative things. Another thing too is that what I did was I set a time. So I would say, okay, uh, leave me alone for now, right? Because I'm busy, but I'm going to set a time. And at this time, beam away, right? Uh, but at the same time, you want to say only benevolent beings are allowed to interact with me at this time, right? Another big one is uh, for religious people, if the Christ consciousness. So, if you say, if you are not of the Christ consciousness, please leave me alone. If you're not of the Christ consciousness, leave me alone. Say that about 3 or 4 times, and just start clearing the air.
And this person, um, he was very confused because he's like, am I a contactee? And I am an abductee? What am I? Because he's not being physically taken, but there's this constant interaction.
Mm-hmm.
So could he be a human hybrid?
It's possible. Well, yeah, probably more than likely. Yeah, yeah, more than likely. And that a lot of the times in the very beginning, It's like getting a fork and sticking it into a power outlet, and then you know how the AC current gets your muscles to contract, so you're stuck holding onto this fork in a power outlet, and it's just zapping you, and you can't let go, right? Uh,
He
eventually,
did it. Yeah, I was gonna say he expressed sometimes these downloads can be very painful in
yeah,
his head. But
yeah.
did you have that issue?
Not with the pain so much because I don't know, I just kind of opened and just flowed. It can, it can get painful with the channeling uh, stuff. So, just imagine like you're you got a trap door on your head. Do the loving thing and just close the trap door, you know, and
Right.
that'll stop any kind of because a lot of the times it's negative. Uh, if it's uncomfortable or uneasy, um, it's a kind of a negative feeling. I'm sorry, yeah, the negative beings tend to feel uncomfortable and are a lot more aggressive.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you so much. Really enjoyed listening to you.
Thank you, Mary Grace. All right. So there was a question in the chat. So do the downloads make your body feel drained or anything or not well when you have
Uh, yeah, you do get, you do get a little drained with the fatigued. Yeah, yeah, with the hyper focused
Mhm.
part. Yeah,
Complains about being tired.
yeah, I am tired a lot, so it does drain you.
Makes you tired.
Yeah, coffee's your best friend. You
Yeah.
know? But yeah, no, it does get tiring. It does. Yeah. That's why it's good to like, set aside set a time like some time aside to just get it out, you know.
And he'll take a nap with me here and there.
Yeah.
Good, good. And the same person wants to know if you consider yourself an alien in a body
Totally.
or consider
Yes.
yourself a
Yeah.
human being that is
Yeah, oh, yeah.
multidimensional and has other
Yeah.
aspects. So
Definitely. Now, yeah, 100%. Yeah. Yeah. Before I was just
yeah.
before I was just person. Now I'm totally like
Hybrid.
yeah, in tune to that soul connection. Yeah.
Much more deep
And that
connection.
soul connection is uh being eternal. It's been through a lot of different
Yeah.
experiences. So yeah, you do become aware of it. Although I still don't have memory. So it's not like I can go back and be like, "Oh, I remember being a mantis being." I can't do that, but
Right.
I
Well, you know.
I do know that there's that connection.
Have connections to them. Yes, definitely. And then somebody wants to know, let me just read this first. Okay, so what shifted for you when the Greys were at your door wanting to get in? And when you hit their hand and you were freaking out
Oh,
to
it shifted.
being ready to go with them in the craft, and when they asked you, are you ready? What shifted? Like, how did that shift come about?
My
It happened the next
yeah
night.
yeah. Well,
First of all.
my personality is kind of I don't know, a buy the ticket, take the ride type, So
Yeah.
yeah, so I did
You
a little,
figured they weren't going away too, right?
yeah, they're not going away, so
Yeah.
let's just do it, kind of thing,
Yeah.
right? So I
And
have
it helps to be curious, I think, too, in these kind
yeah,
of situations, right? It's like, okay, the guy's not going to hurt me. I slammed his hand in the door and he didn't do
yeah,
anything to me.
there's,
So maybe he's not that bad.
I
yeah,
think that's what
let's
helped
just
a
let's
lot.
just do it. And looking back now, it's like this is a symbolic thing of opening the door and inviting them in, right?
Yeah.
Kind of
Yeah.
like the old vampire lore. You have to invite them in to let them interact with you. Though
Wow.
they don't seem much like vampires though. So who knows? I'm sure there's some space vampires out there.
Yeah. Well,
But
there is a certain amount of openness I think you have to have in order to have a lot of contact because they don't want to scare us,
oh
these
no,
beings.
no.
They really don't want to scare us. So if people are really scared and they're they're more into that fear aspect part of themselves. It's going to take time, you know, and
Yeah,
people
and
have to go through stuff first before they get that wake up
right.
call that says, okay, this isn't anything to be afraid of. I'm
I,
okay. You know, they're
I
not.
know. I feel as if in a way they do with our individual what word am I looking for? Individualness, you know, ourselves. They would seem to like, you know, okay, this person, and we did this, and they completely freaked out.
Yeah.
So, you know, so they take these little points, and this person acted like this person did this. One time, um, I was like had an experience where I was like walking through a corridor, and there was a person. In the fetal position on the floor in their pajamas, rocking back and forth, right? And I got down to comfort him, and the mantis being was behind me, and I asked, "Well, what, you know, what's going on here?" And they said, "Oh, well, you know, we can use you to understand human emotions because we have no idea what emotions are like you guys have. So we can
Wow.
we can use people like you to understand the emotions better. So now we understand why this person is so afraid." So
Oh,
they do use us as a mediator in a way. So preparing us for a big contact event.
yeah. Did they talk to you about that at all?
No. They don't really like talking about the plans, and they don't really like giving dates or anything like that either. Yeah,
Yeah. But you just know that something's coming.
something's coming. Yeah, something's coming. A
I got
series a
like,
series a series of events, you know. Yeah,
Yeah, absolutely. I feel it too. I
definitely. You know,
that's why we're here, right? We're here
yeah,
for the
the
big.
way I like to describe it is it's almost like we're like the human race is on the edge, right? And you get this feeling of like, here it comes, here it comes, here it comes, this is it, nope. And then it builds
Exactly.
up again. Here it comes, here it comes, here it comes, here it comes, and nope. That's not.
That wasn't it.
Yeah. Yeah, so we're constantly on this like never-ending edge, it feels like. It's just a matter of time, you know.
Oh yeah. Yeah. So one of the things I wanted to ask you, well, there were two things. One thing that you described about the craft that was over you guys, the blue, I think it was the blue one. It was
Mhm.
the triangular shape. And then you said it was humongous, right?
Yeah,
But then when you saw it at eye level, you realized it was only like this deep, right?
thin. Yeah, it's like thin.
It's like- and I just find that I love that you brought that up because it's been my experience that these crafts can, they can be tiny little like
Right?
this. They can be a tiny little blip and then they can be ginormous, right? But
Yeah,
really?
something and they're still it's still part of them, the crafts, but they can make it big or small or whatever. It's just I
That's cool you have heard of that
yeah.
before.
One person that I know said that you know, if you come across a craft the size of a coffin, and you go into it, and it's
it's
infinitely big on the inside.
yeah, it's so odd. Well,
Yeah.
I have filmed crafts here over my house. And it's so weird because what I'm seeing with my vision, these things are huge,
Hmm.
right? And
Hmm.
there's a being, I could see a being in one of them looking out at me, right? It was a like a salmon colored disc shape. And there was about 30 of them that flew over my house, and I was out there filming them.
Oh wow.
Like, oh my God, you guys are here. I love you guys, blah, blah, blah. And so I see this being and I'm filming. Then when I go and I look at the video, they look like tiny little,
Yeah.
just little nothing in the camera.
Yeah.
Like, wait a minute, those things were big. Like one flew right over my house, and that's the one that I could see the being standing there looking at me.
Right.
But it didn't show up like that in the
Isn't
video.
that a trip? Right.
It's
But
wild. It's wild. So
Another
do
close
interesting things.
another close friend of mine had an experience where they took him into this little glass box, and they said, "Hey, you want to see something kind of cool?" Yeah, yeah. So he goes into this glass box, and he says, next thing he knows, he was like zooming. They were zooming in and out. They can see all around him. And he said they were really small, and they were zooming like through the legs of people and around and through the crowd. And he was like, "Well, can they see us?" No, they can't. They can't see us. And
Yeah. It
got
was like turned into an orb, but it was a
to
box shape.
that's well, no, he said that they said that if they were this would be what people would call an orb. So it's almost
Oh,
like
they did say that to him. Okay.
orbs that a lot of the orbs that you get in the cameras when you flash, some of those are actual beings. Some
Yes.
spirits, and some of them are just consciousnesses observing. You know,
Right. Yeah, I have pictures and film of different orbs, and you can see the faces in them. You see
Mhm.
beings' faces in them.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
it's wild. It's really cool. But oh, I love that. That was a friend of yours that told you that story?
close friend. Yeah,
Yeah,
real
that
close.
is wild. I love that. Wow. And then one other thing that popped in my head when you were talking about where all of these things happen. You're from California?
Correct. Yeah.
Okay. So you had mentioned an area of California that um all I saw was that Google Maps where there's that underwater supposedly alien
Oh, the base is off San Diego. Yeah,
is
yeah,
that San Diego or is that
off the coast of San Diego. Yeah,
oh, I thought that was up a little higher than San Diego.
I'm where I would be is it would be the Monterey Bay
That's the
Canyon.
one. The
Yeah, the
Monterey. Yeah.
Monterey Bay Canyon. Yeah,
Isn't there a base in that area too?
something there. Yeah, there's something there.
A huge thing they found right on Google Earth where
A
it
lot of
has,
that's right. That's
yeah.
right. A lot of divers around the area say they can hear like a pulse underwater. It's like a boom, boom, boom. A real low pulse. Yeah.
Wow. So you're right in that area.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Whoa.
It's just right there down the ways.
So you're like what, within a few miles of it
Oh yeah.
or
Yeah, about 15 minutes.
and there are a lot of sightings by you?
Yeah. Yes,
You're
there's
seeing them
there's
all the time?
quite a few sightings. Yeah. Although, what's interesting though is that there is a lot of sightings. It's a pretty cool place, but as far as like um, spiritual connections go, that's it. There's nothing like there's no conferences ever come through here, or there's never any
I
uh,
wonder,
events or anything like that. Yeah,
yeah, yeah, I wonder why.
I don't know.
Interesting.
Yeah, I
Very
don't know.
interesting.
Well, it is kind of a pricey area, but
Yeah, that could be why.
and it's not so densely populated
Mm,
either. So
okay. Yeah, it was beautiful. I went there, I think back in 2014. And it was beautiful. Yeah, we took a
right.
trip.
Because
And
south,
I didn't,
south of us, you have Big Sur, and Big Sur is a phenomenal area. Highway 1, Big Sur, and then north you have Santa Cruz, and one of the ley lines goes, through Santa Cruz, supposedly there. And that's a pretty awesome place.
wow, beautiful. All right. Well, anybody else have any last minute questions or anything for Robert before we go? All right. Well, I want to say thank you so much, Robert. This has been wonderful. I really enjoyed I really enjoyed having you here tonight and sharing your story. And yeah, and I know everybody else really appreciated it too and really loved it.
Yeah,
So
thank you. I haven't been able to do anything in a while because after COVID, life happened.
I,
So I
that's
haven't really been doing much of anything except for existing and moving.
yeah. Well, it's nice to have you here and sharing. And like I said, anytime you want to come and be part of our community here, I have groups just about every week, once a week. This week is different because our IANS meeting is tomorrow. And that's a sharing group. And that's for anybody that is interested in or has had any kind of spiritually transformative experience, NDE, UFO, ET, OBEs, all of those different types of experiences that you can't just talk to the person online at the grocery store about without getting the blank stare or the from me look. So anyway, so tomorrow night at 7 p.m. It's 4 o'clock Pacific time. And if anybody needs me to send out a link or an email with the link, please put it in the chat and I will make sure to get it to you. I'm going to try to send out a reminder tonight for tomorrow's meeting too. So, but usually they're once a week, I'll have a different, and they're each named a little differently. So,
All right on.
but yeah.
It's good for people to connect and share because it is a very lonely experience.
Yeah, it's very isolating. So it's nice to have these. And this has been so much fun. I just have so enjoyed hearing about your journey and asking you questions and just, hearing more and learning more,
It's
Uh,
super cool. Yeah, we learn from each other. Yeah,
Yeah.
we all get to stand on the shoulders of geniuses all the time, and it helps us accelerate and move forward and
Yep.
exist and cope.
It helps distill the fear, that a lot of
Yeah.
people have about these kind of experiences, which I think is good.
Oh
you
yeah,
know.
once you get rid of the fear, it starts smoothing out.
Yeah. Yeah. I remember when I first started these groups in 2016, I had them locally at my library. And there was a gentleman who would come to the meetings and he had a really scary experience. And I don't blame him. He was scared. He was scared shit, excuse my language. He ended up in his car. He got sucked out of his house and ended up waking up in his car with like this goo on him you
Yeah.
know and so that just freaked him out and he never wanted to learn any more about it. He just said they took me against my will. I don't want to know anything. I'm just
Yeah.
yeah. And I feel for him because I know there's a bigger picture that's happening, like on some level he agreed to have that experience. And so for him, he stopped. That was where he just
Um,
stopped,
yeah. I,
so
I have a Native American elder friend of mine, and she's full blown contactee, right? Like hard on the hardcore level, and
mhm.
she tells me, she's like, Robert, it's even though I know I'm interacting with the good ones, and I know they're a part of my family, and even after all these years, I'm still scared to death of them. It's like they're just creepy, man. They scare the
Well, some of them look pretty different, it's like,
and it is. It's
hard to
scary.
wrap your head around sometimes, where they have such weird looks to
Yeah,
them. And
and
ones don't, it depends, but
and it's almost like it's like, are you trying to be horrifying? Like jokingly, because if you see, imagine like if you just look out in the yard and there's like three shadowy figures just staring at you, standing there, you know,
right,
saying,
right.
saying in your mind, we're not going to hurt you. It's fine. That's pretty horrifying. Yeah, I'm so horrified. It's horrifying.
Well, you are a brave soul.
I try.
Yeah. Aw, well, we appreciate you. Thank you so much, you and your wife. What is your wife's name again? I'm sorry.
Again,
Megan.
yeah.
Thank you, Megan, and thank
Oh,
you so much,
it was
Robert.
a pleasure.
Yeah, it was so nice to have you both. All right.
Oh,
So, all right, guys. So
Hi, guys.
tomorrow night it will be our meeting, our IANS meeting, and then next week we have the week off, and then we'll have our spiritual experiencers, which we will have Aaron from Ireland, and he's an artist. He's been with us before. But he's going to take us on a journey with our creativity and art. So if you bring any kind of colored pencils or any kind of drawing materials. He's going to take us on an intuitive, creative art expression. So we can each have our own experience with that. So that should be fun. All right, guys. Have a good night. Thanks, Robert. Bye, Megan. Bye,
night.
everybody.
Good night.
Thanks for being here.